It's so powerful to watch like a crowded room of fellows, ask them, hey, raise your hand if it's the first time in Africa, and seeing half the hands in the room go up. And then raise your hand if it's your first time in Kenya. 3/4 of the hands in the room go up. It's so powerful to see that.
Jeff, thank you so much for joining us here at the Penny on Wall Street today. So Kauffman Fellows is hosting its first summit in Africa here in Nairobi this week. Tell me, what was the decision-making process to deciding to host the summit here in Nairobi?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I mean, first, look around. Like, isn't this awesome?
This is spectacular.
Like, this is a great spot. So it's an easy place to want to host a summit. For us, we view summits as really important to what we do in global capital formation. We want to expose our investors to different ecosystems around the world. This is our 13th summit. It's the first in the continent of Africa. So we want to think about global leadership in venture capital and capital formation. And we've hosted 12 different summits that have never come to an entire continent. We're missing a big piece of what's going on in global capital formation. Now, so we've had our eye on hosting something in Africa for a long time. Because we think about where we want to go, we have the way that we do our decision-making process is we have fellows come to us and basically submit an application and tell us about their ecosystem, tell us about the different stakeholders, the entrepreneurs, the VCs that are in the ecosystem and why we should be there. They're not necessarily trying to convince us, but more just kind of show what we can show to our fellows. And we hadn't had an application for a long time, finally got one, and it was for 3 different areas. We looked at Nairobi, of course. We looked at Lagos, and we looked at Cape Town. And as we evaluated all 3, and as we worked with our summit committee, which is based of Kauffman Fellows, we looked at all the different aspects of all the different 3, and we felt like Nairobi had the biggest and most potential for our summit. Not to say anything bad about Lagos or Cape Town or any of the other areas, which we find incredibly exciting as well. But we just felt like for what we wanted to host and how we wanted to gather this group was the best place for us to do it in Nairobi. And so we accepted their application, we moved forward, and then we talked to Ambassador Whitman and President Ruto and their teams, and they were incredibly supportive. We said, yeah, this is the place we ought to be.
That's great to hear. Now, for some of our viewers who don't know what Kauffman Fellows is, what is it?
So Kauffman Fellows is not a secret society. We're not trying to be secret, but we are not a group that is boastful and that tries to be overly media attention on grabbings. But we are a global network of VCs, about 1,000 different individuals across 58 different countries across the world, covering all 6 continents, all 6 inhabited continents. No VC activity right now in Antarctica. But we are a group that gets together. We hold different classes every single year. So when you would fly, we'll join a specific class. I'm class 16, so that was the 16th class of Kauffman Fellows. The most recent class is class 28. And what they do is they go through a 2-year program where we help them understand a lot more about themselves. We're not here to teach them VC. They're already VCs. They're already partners, general partners, principals, associates in their firms. We're trying to help them understand more about themselves because we believe that better people make better investors. And so we want to help them to become the best version of themselves because we know, this is critical, we believe that the greatest problems in the world are going to be solved by talented, driven entrepreneurs that are diverse and representatives of society as a whole. And we, as the investors, as the capital providers, are simply the service layer. We are not the heroes in this journey. The entrepreneurs are the heroes. So our job is to support them in the best way possible, not to be, overly intrusive or roadblocks for them. And the only way that we can do that, or at least the best way that we can do that, is to understand ourselves and become the best version of ourselves. So Kauffman Fellows is a global community of individuals that care deeply about becoming the best version of themselves so we can support the entrepreneurs that are truly making the world a better place.
Okay, now many of the investors who have come here to Nairobi for Kauffman Fellows this week, many of them, it's their first time either in Africa or in Kenya. What are you hoping that they take back home with them after everything concludes?
It's so powerful to watch like a crowded room of fellows, ask them, hey, raise your hand if it's the first time in Africa, and seeing half the hands in the room go up. And then raise your hand if it's your first time in Kenya. 3/4 of the hands in the room go up. So powerful to see that. The way that we measure success is, now look, one thing to understand is Kauffman Fellows as an organization, we're a nonprofit. We don't deploy capital as an organization. We are an educational group that helps accelerate the careers of all these other VCs. So what we're doing is we want to increase their awareness. We want to bring them along the awareness schedule. So you might, of those 50 to 75% of the room that have never been to Kenya, they might be completely oblivious about what's going on in Kenya. They probably are completely oblivious in Kenya at what's going on here. And so we want to move them from oblivious to aware. And then for those that are already aware, we want to move them from aware to interested. And then those that are interested, we want to move them from interested to committed. So that's our goal. That's what we're trying to accomplish with everyone that's here. So if that 50 to 75% of the group, they're probably in the oblivious category. I'd say they're very squarely in the aware category, if not interested category after this gather.
Okay, and what advice do you have for, some of the investors here who are now considering, hey, I should start investing in Africa? What advice do you have for them?
Well, it's the same advice that we give every fellow, which is, we want to be globally minded. I mean, we know the capital formation is global. I mean, 2018 was the last year that over 50% of global capital was deployed in the U.S. and in North America. So great companies are being built everywhere. There's plenty of examples of them here. And our fellows already know this. They know that the capital formation is happening everywhere. We need to pick our heads up and see. I mean, if we're investing in a fintech company in Southeast Asia or in Chicago or in Sao Paulo, it's very likely that they're going to be competing for customers and for global penetration with companies like M-Pesa and companies like Paysa and others that are doing similar things. So we need to understand what capital formation looks like in each of the different areas around the world. So my advice to them was the same advice we always give, which is pick your head up, look around, engage with the local entrepreneurs, engage with the local investors that are doing things here, learn from them, help them learn from you, and continue to kind of collaborate on investing in great entrepreneurs.
Okay, now we have our last question is a little bit of a personal one.
Sure.
When you were first starting your career, what did you spend your first paycheck on?
Oh my gosh, my first paycheck on? Well, probably two. I'm not someone that is like cookie. I'm not into things really, and I never have been. So actually, you know what? I can't say it was my first paycheck, but I'd say somewhere in that area, I started just putting money away and investing. And I just opened a simple mutual fund. And because I knew, I understood the time value of money, and the only way I understood that is from my father, from mentors that they told me that. They said the earlier you start, the more impact it's going to have. And so I just remember from a very early age putting money into a mutual fund that is very much been today, mainly because of time, not because of the amount of money.
All right, Jeff, thank you so much for your time today.